Office of the President, file number PR stroke C stroke 674 stroke volume 15, dated 19th January 2001, re NAWEC, admitted mark MS 239.
Mrs. Joyner, you did say yesterday.
Sorry. Why is this? Has it been marked? The file has to be brought up and marked.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
The file has to be marked by the secretary. Bring it.
Sorry, I did not apply to tender the file itself. That's why I made extracts. I applied to tender the extracts from the file.
Oh, the extracts?
Yes.
Oh, we admitted the whole file. Do you have extracts? You want
yes,
to?
I passed them on.
The extracts?
Yes.
Oh, we didn't understand it that way.
So why bring us the whole file?
It doesn't make.
We saw the whole file and we thought.
It doesn't make any difference anyway. You can admit it.
Very well.
The file is instructive.
Yeah, but it has to be marked.
Yes.
And you label it in red. That's what we mean by marking before you give it out.
What are they?
Mrs. Joyner, according to your testimony, you were in the office of the President from 1996 until you ascended to the position of Secretary General?
What is this one?
Is that correct? So you were there from 1996 to 2002?
Yes, ma'am.
A period spanning 6 years?
Yes, ma'am.
Who were the close associates of the President during the period you were there?
I wouldn't know, ma'am.
Why wouldn't you know?
Because I worked in an official capacity, and I wouldn't know, by definition of close associates, what is implied.
Non-public officers who frequented the office of the President to see the President?
This would be a matter for maybe the protocol officer or the head, the SG at the time, if at all the SG was involved. Because from my experience...
You were SG?
Yes, ma'am, I was elaborating. From my experience, I would be in my office and not know, okay, there would be a daily list of appointments for the President in any given day he's in the office. And this would be made available to the SG. And with an indication as to whether the SG or an official within the office is required to sit in the audience or not.
Sorry, technician, I can't hear properly. Can you adjust the witness's mic, please? Okay, you can go on. Let's see.
Okay, I was saying on a daily basis, whenever the President is in office at the State House, there would be a list typed out by the executive assistant, as to his appointments for that date. And this would be made available to the Secretary General with an indication from the former president as to whether the Secretary General or an official within the office is required to be in attendance at that meeting. And these are on record.
So most people, it's fair to say that most people who would meet the president are people who you would be notified about.
Normally, yes.
Yes, so people who frequently meet the president who are not public officers, you would know.
What I would say is, it so happens that outside this list, the president in a day could also meet other people.
That's fine, but we are asking you about those people who would be in the list and who would frequent the office of the president.
These would emanate from like requests through the Ministry of Finance. You have ambassadors coming in, you have investors coming in, you have ministers coming in to see the president on various matters, and these would be the various categories of people.
Yes, we're just asking you about the ones who would pass through your desk, the names would pass through your desk, and they would frequent the office of the president.
I cannot remember, ma'am. I cannot remember.
That's fine. Now, the records show that between 2000 and 2002, an investment was made in Kairaba Beach Hotel. Did any matter relating to Kairaba Beach Hotel pass through your desk?
I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say so.
What would you say?
I have explained that if there's any communication under my signature in the files, because I believe in such investigations, given the time lapse, it is given the time lapse.
Time lapse.
Between 2001, 2002, and today, I'm not expected to remember all the details of my engagements within the office.
And we are not asking you all the details. We are asking you about one very significant, substantial asset in the Gambia, which is Kairaba Beach Hotel. I do not, one cannot appreciate that anyone who dealt with the acquisition of Kairaba Beach Hotel would forget. So it's a simple question.
I don't remember dealing with it, no.
What about the Observer newspaper?
I don't remember dealing with it directly, no.
You don't remember?
I don't remember dealing with it.
What do you recollect about investment in Kairaba Beach Hotel and Observer newspaper? You didn't deal with them, you've said so, that is recorded. What do you recollect about these two investments?
I don't have, my memory is very faint as far as those are concerned.
During this period also, it seems the president was investing at Kanilai, was constructing or developing Kanilai, and even started development of the hotel called Sindola. As Secretary General, I'm sure, of course, the president would be traveling, and this is something one cannot hide from a Secretary General. What can you assist this commission on regarding Kanilai and Sindola?
Madam, Kanilai, well, at least the property in Kanilai, I appreciated was the personal property of the president. Developments there, we were not involved in. We have visited Kanilai a few times as a cabinet.
Sorry, you had? Sorry, I'm having difficulty. You had?
We have visited Kanilai a few times, holding cabinet meetings there, taking like visitors to see the president, who would receive them in audience from his private home in Kanilai. And that's all I know about Kanilai. About developments, I mean, of course you would have arrived there and see some buildings, but definitely as to who the contractors were or how they were being financed or the construction itself, no. Well, personally, I had nothing to do with it. Nothing
You
whatsoever.
said it was his private residence, but you had cabinet meetings there.
Yes,
Is that what
we
you
did.
said?
Yes,
So
we
it
did.
couldn't be such a private residence then, if
Well,
you had
it-
cabinet meetings there.
Well, it did happen, and I believe it happened up to the end of his term.
Where were cabinet meetings held?
I think there was a hall. There was a hall that was arranged for the purpose. At the time I was SG, well, I know there was a hall that was arranged, tables and chairs, and we met for certain functions there, official functions, yes.
At that time, were there sleeping quarters for visitors?
I think so.
Where? Do you know the four houses? The buildings called the four houses?
Yeah, well, maybe I'm not aware of the name, but I think there were sleeping quarters.
Where were the
Because-
sleeping quarters?
Madam, I wouldn't remember it when you say where were they. I mean, in terms of the.
Were they part of his residence or were sleeping quarters elsewhere from his residence?
Not part of his. There was a residence, and I think adjacent to it there were some quarters that had been used by ministers when they spent the night overnight there.
Okay. What about Sindola? Was it completed when you were Secretary General? The Sindola Hotel?
I don't believe so, but I may be wrong. I don't believe.
Sorry?
I don't believe it was, but I may be wrong.
Had construction started?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't remember.
All right. I have no further questions for Mrs. Jen.
Madam, as SG, what exactly was your role in relation to state matters with respect to your dealings with the president? What could you tell him and what could you not tell him as a Secretary General?
State matters as it relates to what emanated from the different ministries.
Yes. What could you discuss with him? Did you have the full opportunity and privilege to discuss all state matters, or was there a limit that you couldn't go beyond?
Honorable Commissioner, I wouldn't say there was a limit imposed. It depended on the details that were made available to the Secretary General. And it is incumbent upon the Secretary General to advise His Excellency the President on state matters, particularly that are of national interest.
If you take an example like his dealings with the Euro-African group, was that ever discussed as a matter of interest with you? The reason we ask, it's a break from civil service tradition to entertain businessmen and have the president develop such a keen interest in one particular company. Now, if it had to do with investments, maybe it was better handled at the Ministry of Finance. But in this particular case, it was sort of well guarded by the president. Now, were you ever invited on any matter related to Euro-African group?
I have indicated, Honorable Commissioner, that I was not in any way involved in any matter relating to Mr. Bazi and his group. Directly involved, meaning sitting in a meeting, discussing with them, negotiating. No, I was not. At the time, like I said, the office was structured in such a way that there was a permanent secretary responsible. Inasmuch as the Secretary General, I find myself overall responsible for the issues within the office of the President. I was comforted by the fact that there was close collaboration between NAWEC, for instance, and the official who was responsible. And I believed whatever the official submitted was as a result of the discussions, agreements reached between himself and the NAWEC management. And as Secretary General, with such background, if I had such briefing, I would take satisfaction with that, in that we were seeking the national interest in what we were doing.
Final one. Now, when you serve as Secretary General, you are also in contact with the public and what's going on around you. If you learn of a matter that concerns Euro-African and it didn't sit well with you or the civil service tradition, as Secretary General, could you bring it up with the President under those circumstances, and why or why not?
Certainly, I would bring it up. I would bring it up. I would proffer advice drawn from, like I said, the technical departments that are supposed to be handling the matter. I would proffer advice. But it so happens that it's not always that advice is heeded by the former President.
It's fine, thank you.
I'm sorry, just to clarify, you said, did you say you resigned in 2020?
I retired voluntarily.
You retired?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you provide a copy?
It's right here.
It's right there with you. Was this before your nomination or after your nomination? Your nomination to AU.
I retired voluntarily on the 26th of November, 2002. The acceptance was received or was issued on the 12th of December, 2002.
When was your nomination to AU?
My nomination was submitted, I think, in January, February 2003.
2003.
And the elections took place in Maputo in July 2003.
You said January, February 2003.
I don't remember because
Sorry, I just want to confirm what you said. You said your nomination was in?
In January, February 2003. Because
the following year?
Yes. Because it was the Foreign Ministry that submitted the nomination to the AU.
That's fine. So when did you start your...
I was elected in July 2003, and I took up office in September 2003 at the AU.
Can we have the retirement and they'll make a copy and return your originals. Mr. Chairman, may I apply to have admitted the voluntary retirement and response, voluntary retirement of this witness, and response from Personnel Management Office, dated respectively 26 November 2002 and 12 December 2002, and for the documents to be photocopied and replaced by the photocopied documents. Was there any reason why you retired? Why you voluntarily retired as Secretary General?
Yes, ma'am.
There was a reason?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the reason?
I have left the office after having received authorization.
Sorry, start again, you had?
I said I had left the office after having
sorry. Sorry, I forgot I had made an application. We have to wait for the
okay.
commissioners. Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Letter of voluntary retirement dated 26 November 2002 of witness number 213 Julia Joyner, and approval by PMO dated 12 December 2002, admitted mark MS240.
I had applied for the letters to be substituted by the copies, which should be marked, the copies to be marked, instead of the letters themselves.
These are the copies. right?
Photocopies, make photocopies and mark them.
My question, Mr. Chairman, was there any reason why you retired voluntarily? And the answer was yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Can you tell us the reason?
I had left the following approval by His Excellency the President to attend a 2-week special training program being organized by the Commonwealth Secretariat and Public Administration International. The special program was on trust in government, promoting ethics and professional standards in public services. And the main elements of the program related to practical strategies for establishing, promoting, and sustaining ethical standards in public services, as well as fighting corruption in public service. Like I said, I had authorization from the President to attend this program in London. It was a 2-week program. At the end of the first week, I received a phone call on a Friday in the evening from one of my staff within the office that a notice had been addressed and was going to be announced on air that Mr. Ali Ngom was reinstated, so to speak, as Secretary General, and that upon my return, well, there was no upon my return, that I was going to be redeployed. So that was all. So I decided to complete my program, and here is the certificate I received, and came back after the end of the program. And when I returned, I thought that redeploying a Secretary General tantamounted to demoting a Secretary General. And that was
Redeployed to where, sorry?
It was not indicated. I was just told that the announcement said that I was going to be redeployed. So redeploying the Secretary General tantamounted to demoting the Secretary General, and I thought that was not acceptable to me, and my option was to retire voluntarily, which I did.
Okay, just one last question. Reinstate Mr. Ali Ngom, where was he at the time?
He was ambassador. I don't remember whether he came directly from Saudi Arabia or he came from Brussels, but he was an ambassador. He was not my immediate predecessor, but he was the Secretary General before my immediate predecessor, He handed over to Tamsir Mbaye, Tamsir handed over to me, and that's why I said reinstated, because he was there before.
All right. I have no further questions for the witness.
Thank you, madam. You may go.
Thank you very much.
Could you inform Mrs. Samba that we are going to call her witnesses? I recall Mr. Usman Jame for cross-examination at the instance of Mr. Amadou Samba. Yes, we have copies back. So now you call Nai last, because Nai is a witness.
Have a seat, sir. And please be reminded of your oath. You're welcome.
May it please this Honorable Commission, M.A. Samba, calling witnesses to be cross-examined on behalf of Mr. Amadou A. Samba.
Yes, Ms. Samba, you may comment.
As the Commission pleases. Mr. Jame, I have a few questions for you.
Okay.
You did hold the position of Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Local Government and Lands.
That's correct. Sorry. That's correct.
I can't hear him.
I say that is correct.
Very well. Can the witness be given Exhibit MS-101B, please? Right, I need 101B, 101A, SC 18, SC 30. I did tell.
Very well, we'll rise for 15 minutes.
Sorry. Osman.